Well, in our last session, we created these guys, and we created this guy. This guy here is a Metallurgic infuser, factory version of the Metallurgic infuser. Basically, it's a thing that mixes two things together to get a third thing. And then we have these guys, which are Mekanism's version of a furnace and a pulverizer. But we've upgraded them so they run a lot faster than any of those machines. So first off, let's take the smelter and yoink it out and drop it on top of the manufactory. And let's replace this furnace with that. Now let's configure the sides. This thing is taking input from an ME interface on the top, and it's outputting out the back, and potentially we might want to put an ME interface on the side as well if this one fills up. So let's configure our sides so our inputs at the top, and also inputs at the right, and outputs at the back. So that means I should be able to simply order up anything we programmed the furnace for, and it will now get done by this machine. And there it goes. And also we're going to replace pulverizer, the crusher, which should just slot in as a replacement in the same way. So we should be able to make glass from cobblestone by crushing it into gravel and then sand. Yes. So these two machines have now pretty much completely replaced the older, slower versions. Now one of the things I want to do is want to automate this Metallurgic infuser. And that is tricky because Metallurgic infuser takes two ingredients, and automating it absolutely demands that you send them into separate sides. You cannot configure it to accept both ingredients from the same side of the machine. Because fuck me, that's why. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make 3 more of these for each type of infusion ingredient. And then we're going to put ME interfaces down, connected to chests, and the exit system will then be able to filter the ingredients out of the chest and into the appropriate sides of the infusers. So we have a connector, an XNet connector. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade it to an advanced connector. An advanced connector is basically a connector, but better. Because one of the things you can do with an advanced connector is, for instance, you can put the advanced connector on one side of a machine, and you can use it to insert items into any side of the machine you want. So this connector's on the side, but I can use it to insert shit off the top, for example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire up this hole in the wall, stick a facade, and connect the advanced connector out here. And then I'm going to put the infusers on all 4 sides. Fuck you. I'm gonna make a chest, but I'm gonna convert the chest into a slightly larger chest. These basically work just like chests, same size as chests, despite the name, but they don't connect to other chests, which is handy. But also, they don't have the requirement that the top of them has to be clear. That is, you can open it even if there's something on top of it. Now with that, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to wire some ME cables up here. But it looks like I don't have enough. I just don't have a lot of quartz. That could be an issue at some point. We need to crush this fluix to make cable, but we can do that a lot faster now. Now, these are not connected anywhere on the other side, so that's not going to work. That'll do. We're going to run this cable into the wall, just as a way. Connect it over to here. So now this should be connected up to the ME system on the same run as these cables. So now, let's make a couple interfaces. If I put the interface here, it might get confused. Notice the interface is next to both this chest and this glacial precipitator, and the interface might not know which one it's supposed to connect to. One way to deal with that is plonk the cable there, drop the interface into your crafting grid, and you get a slim interface. And you can go like that. And now it's clear what it's connecting itself to. Before we do anything else, let's automate this chipfab. I'm going to replace this with a slig. So the slig will go here. Put the turf here. I think I'll just wire it up like that. Yes. It is now connected. So what we've done here is we've set up an interface on this chest, which we can now program with the recipe to make circuits. Let's put the terminal into processing mode. And let's just use JEI to program the recipe. Now, this recipe is technically wrong. As in, this is how you actually make a logic processor, but that's not how this machine works. This machine combines several steps into one. To make a logic processor on this setup, you don't have to make these intermediate processors, or circuits. You simply feed it the gold and the silicon. So now if we take this recipe, stick it in the interface, it now knows how to make a logic processor. So now, I can make another couple more interfaces, and if I don't hide my gold from the system, it knows how to make the things it needs to make these new interfaces. We'll do the same for the diamond one. And the Certus one. Except I'm short some pure Certus. Alright, I've got the interfaces I need. So once again, we'll slimline this guy. Plonk him here. Cable there. Turf there. So now, the enrichment chamber is also on the ME system. There are several things you can make with this infuser, but there's 4 sort of categories of things we can make. We can infuse stuff with redstone, we can infuse stuff with diamond, we can infuse stuff with obsidian, and we can make steel, which is infusing stuff with carbon. So we're going to use a separate infuser for each of those 4 categories. We're low on quartz. That's not good. I guess we're going on a mining expedition. Well, just because we can. Yoink. Ah! Well then. Well, since I can just fly over to you... Ha! Ha ha! Oh, there's also one just chilling in the lava. Chilling in the lava. That... Yeah. I think that will do for now. In the time it took me to go out and get quartz, I've forgotten what I needed it for. Ah, yes. I need some more patterns. So, first of all, let's make a pattern for that. And put it into the interface for the enrichment chamber. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take some iron, I'm going to take some osmium, and I'm going to make a set of materials to program the pattern for infusing this. This was terribly explained. I'm going to put this compressed redstone in. Now that will be able to infuse 8 things. So I'm going to do, I'm going to put 4 irons in. That will infuse 4 enriched alloys. I can infuse 4 more things, so I will infuse 4 osmiums, which will get me basic circuits. If I was smart, I would have taken that compressed redstone, and I would have put it in the pattern terminal before using it. Because then it would be there to program this pattern I'm going to make. Oh well. So, we're going to program the system. Tell it that 1 compressed redstone plus 8 iron ingots gives you 8 enriched alloys. And we're also going to program it to say that 1 compressed redstone plus 8 osmium gives you 8 basic circuits. And we're going to go plug that into this interface here. So now what's going to happen if I try to craft a batch of alloy? The interface is going to stick it into these chests. Now, I need to get the stuff from the chests into the appropriate interface. For that we're going to use XNet. So, what we need to do is, we need to plug some connectors into the chest. We're going to knock out that block, and that block. We're going to put connectors there. So now the, well, if I plug the cables in, now the sligs are connected. Well, I've made a bit of a mess explaining things, as usual, so just do a quick recap here of how this setup works. Now, the way this setup works is, when you order up one of these from the system, it takes the ingredients, shovels them into this slig, and then the slig is connected to the XNet system. The XNet system has 2 channels here for the Metallurgic infusers. There's infusion input, and there's infusion infuse, which is a stupid name, but I don't know of a better one. The way the machine works is, you put some redstone into it, or one of several other materials, you put it into this slot, it sort of melts it down into liquid redstone, and then you put the actual input in, and it infuses the redstone into the iron to get these things. So, what goes in here I'm calling the infused, and what goes in here I'm calling the input. So, I've set up the sides on this machine so that the input goes into the left side. The extra, which is the infused ingredient, goes in the top. And the outputs are pulled out the right. And then over here in the controller, you can see we're pulling from the slig and inserting into the north side, which is the left. We're inserting the inputs into the north side, which is either iron or osmium. And we have another channel that's doing the same thing, except what it's doing is putting the redstone in the top. So if you stick those two things in the chest, it'll filter the redstone into the infuse slot, and the iron into the input slot. So now, we have both alloys and circuits automated, so we just order them up from the system. Now the next thing I want to do the same thing for steel. The way you make steel in Mekanism, as you will have seen in previous videos probably, you mix coal and iron. But you can also make you can mix charcoal with iron as well. Which is what I'm going to do, because charcoal's cheaper. You can just get it out of wood. First of all, I'm going to make a recipe that says 1 wood makes 1 charcoal. And we're going to put that into the furnace interface. So now, you can order up charcoal from wood in the system. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to make a recipe for turning charcoal into compressed carbon. And that goes into the enrichment chamber. So we'll find the enrichment chamber interface, which is this one. So now, I should be able to just order compressed carbon, make some charcoal, and then it'll make some compressed carbon. Good, good, good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stick this compressed carbon in here. I'm going to stick 4 irons in here. And what that gets me is 4 enriched irons. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this to program a recipe that says compressed carbon plus 8 irons equals 8 enriched irons. And then I'm going to make a recipe that says compressed carbon plus 8 enriched irons equals something that we're going to make in a second here. I'm going to take these 4 enriched irons, mix them with the remaining carbon in the infuser, and I get steel blend. So now we have a recipe that says compressed carbon plus 8 enriched iron equals 8 steel blend. And finally, make a furnace recipe. It tells you can smelt this into steel ingots. I'm not going to use this interface for these recipes. I'm going to use this interface. The reason is, this item here, the recipe for that includes iron, but the recipe for this also includes iron. So if I put them on the same interface and try to make both recipes out of the same chest, the system's just going to get confused. It's not going to know where the iron's supposed to go, because it can potentially go in 2 different places, depending on what you're making. So we have a separate interface into a separate chest. Instead of using this infuser, we're going to use another infuser, just so the system doesn't, again, get things confused. If you try to use the same infuser for all the recipes, if you're trying to make more than one thing at once, your recipes might get mixed up. So it'll try to put bits of recipe A and bits of recipe B into the infuser, which is not going to work because the bits don't go together. That was terribly explained. I'm going to have a separate infuser for each infuse ingredient. So this one for infusing redstone, one of these for infusing carbon for steel, one of these for infusing diamond, one for infusing obsidian. So here's what happens if we try to order up a steel blend. It'll make the compressed carbon, and then it'll plonk these guys in here. Right now this is not going to do anything because I haven't programmed the excellence system to filter stuff from the chest into the appropriate infuser. So let's pick one. Let's pick this one. let's take both of these and use them to program the system. Well, once again, I'm back from the future to recap what I did, because I made a complete hash of explaining it. So here's what I've ended up doing. These are the two sligs. This is the infuser for redstone, and this is the infuser for carbon. So what I'm doing is, in this channel, I'm extracting from both of the sligs, and redstone is going into the redstone infuser, and carbon's going into the carbon infuser. There's no conflict there, there's no confusion. No matter which chest they come out of, those are the only things that'll come out, and those are the only places they'll go. Now, I made a third channel for infusing, basically for the steel, where it extracts from this chest and sends it to the infuser for infusing carbon. Now, it's only connected to this chest here, which is connected to the interface for making steel. Now, it's connected to the north side of the carbon infuser, which is the left side. And if you look at the side config, that's configured for input. So, the only things that will go into... The only things this channel will move is the iron and the enriched iron. It will be extracted from that chest and sent into the input side. It will not try to move the compressed carbon into the side of the infuser, because the input side of the infuser won't take the carbon. It won't allow it. So there's no need to filter this input. Anything that the input side of this infuser accepts will come out of the chest. Now, one more thing. I'm gonna program the system to make energy and speed upgrades. Now, this requires gold dust, so I'll need to program it to do that. That we can do with the crusher. And now there's our 8 upgrades. Now, there's 2 ways to install upgrades. You can go to the Upgrades tab and drop it in like this, and wait. Or, just take it, shift right click it, insert them the fast way. So now, we've got 8 energy upgrades in there. Let's make some speed upgrades as well. And we need osmium dust. Shovel, shovel, shovel. And now, should be able to make steel dust a lot faster. Yes, much faster. And finally, let's make an upgrade installer. Basic tier installer looks like this. And I already had what we needed, so it's ready. So now we take this, shift right click on this, and zap. This is now a factory, which means it can do 3 things at once. And if you hit auto sort, then it'll automatically spread out ingredients that go into this. So if the ME system shovels everything into one slot, it'll automatically balance it out into the other 2. One more thing I would like to do, I would like to automate the production of fluix and pure crystals. So with that, first let's make a charger. Now, this is a thing that will charge Certus quartz into charge Certus quartz. We've been using the energetic infuser. I think this one is slightly quicker overall. Alright, so what I've done, I've connected the crystal growth chamber to the XNet system through a connection in the floor. I've plugged the charger into the XNet system through a connector in the wall. And I've put this chest down and connected it again with the connector in the floor. And the idea is, if you put Certus quartz in this chest, actually, I'm going to create a channel called crystals. Now what it's going to do, it's going to extract stuff from this chest I just put down. It's going to try to insert it into this charger, which so far has worked. Let's connect the charger to the output channel and just extract from it, which will extract the charge Certus into the ME system. So, what should happen, if I stick one Certus in, it goes in there, gets charged, gets pulled in the ME system. So far, so good. Now, I also want to be able to pull stuff out of this chest and put it into the crystal growth chamber. If I try to put a Certus quartz in there, it will extract it, it'll put it into the charger. It will not put into the crystal growth chamber because you can't put a plain Certus crystal into the crystal growth chamber. On the other hand, put a charged one in, that does go into the growth chamber. And if I put a redstone and another quartz in, those will go into the growth chamber and make flux. So let's also extract from the growth chamber and into the ME system. If I go like this, and this, and this, faster than I can see it, we have flux. So now that we've done this, we should be able to program the ME system to autocraft that. So let's start by telling it that put a Certus in, get a charge Certus out. Put it in this interface. We should be able to just call up charge Certus. And we should also be able to tell it, put in a charge Certus, not 4, just 1. Not regular, charged. And a redstone. And another quartz. You get 2 fluices. So now I should be able to just order up Fluix. We'll charge it. We'll charge a Certus. Pop out. It'll go in there with redstone and quartz, and it's done. And finally, we've already programmed it how to make Certus seeds. So now we want to tell it that you can get a pure flux crystal from a Certus seed. That should put the seed in here, which will then go into there, and it will grow. Similarly, we want to teach it to make Fluix seeds. And then, you can teach it that a Fluix seed gives you a pure Fluix. So with that, we should be able to just order up pure Certus, which we just did, and pure Fluix. And it's going. So now, I can order up 10 patterns, and now it knows how to make this pure Certus. One makes 8 control circuits with compressed iron, compressed redstone, and obsidian. This is gonna all be bloopers, isn't it? This makes control circuits with redstone and He'll get there eventually, the poor fucker.